Hello everyone, PenguinSal here again. I'm glad you guys seem to be enjoying these review videos, so we're going to continue doing this along with the ones for the Day of Demos. Today we're here to discuss all of the demos that we played in Day of Demos 3, which ended up being more demos than we've done on any of these days so far, and we will get to why that is as we progress through these demos. The first demo we played and would like to discuss was called Craggenrock. This one I didn't know a whole lot about, but it seemed like an interesting and fun enough concept where you played as a new owner of a blacksmith forge, and it seemed like you would use your resources to craft different weaponry and then sell it to adventurers in town. That's really all I can say about this one because the game crashed not once but twice when we were trying to play it, and both times were at the same spot, and it was very early. It was only a few minutes into the demo. So I really can't say much about this. Obviously, the demo crashing is, it's a bit of a bummer because we wanted to see what this one had to offer. It was called Craggenrock. If you want to try it for yourself, and if it ends up working out for you, let me know. Like I said, it was only a few minutes in and it crashed twice at the same spot, so we really didn't get to play it. From what we saw, it looked like it was going to be a lot of fun. The art style was charming, pixel work, and like I said, I haven't really seen a lot of games where you run and operate a blacksmith forge, so I think it could have been a unique concept. Hopefully this all gets reported to the developers of the game and they're able to do something about it, and the demo will start working at some point, and hopefully the full release when it comes out ends up working as well. But that's really all we can say about Craggenrock. The second demo we're going to talk about today was called Cursorblade. This one I'd heard a little bit about. It seemed like people were enjoying this one thus far. And essentially, it was a wave battling game, but instead of having a character, you actually used your cursor. So you would wave around your cursor to aim at enemies and dodge projectiles on the screen. I thought it was a fun concept. The thing I would say from the demo of this one is I'm not sure how much replayability it's going to have even in the full release. It looked like there were 5 characters, 2 of which you could play in the demo. One was the standard character, the second one was a sturdier character where they had extra health but did less damage. We played in runs as both characters, and both times we used very different builds, except for the fact that I think weapon-wise there was only less than 10 options, and you had 6 weapons you could get per run. So we had to double stack a couple of times just from the lack of options. And yes, this is a demo, so this could change in the future. But I think unless the characters either play out much differently than each other, as opposed to just being various stat changes, if they don't add a whole lot of new enemies or passive buffs or weapon types, I think the replayability on this one's going to be pretty null. Like I said, it's a good concept. The runs, I think, averaged about 7 minutes long, so we only played this one for, 20 minutes or less. I think it does have a cool concept, and the art style is pretty cute and charming, but I think unless they add a whole lot of content to this one, it's not going to bring the value that the potential cost is going to be, unless the game is wise and charges $4.99 or less for this game. If it charges $2.99, $3.99, I think you can get your money's worth out of this. If it's anything higher than that, I don't think there's going to be enough content in this to have enough variety to want to play more than just a handful of runs, maybe beat the runs once with each character. But that was Cursorblade. Feel free to check this one out. There is a link for it down in the description. Let me know what you guys think about the Cursorblade demo. The third demo we played was the surprise of the day. This game is called Fruitbus. Fruitbus, one word. I did not know anything about this. I picked this one up on a whim, and I gotta tell you, this was the surprise winner of the day for me. It was a ton of fun. The game was in a pre-alpha state, so there was definitely some glitchy bugs that we had to deal with, things phasing through the ground, but I was willing to get past that because one, it was just pretty charming. You were a new owner of an inherited food truck where you would sell things that were made entirely out of fruit, and you would handle the cooking on your own. You would chop up the different fruits. You could throw them in a blender. You could put them in a salad. That's what we saw in the demo. This was a ton of fun. Like I said, I can look past the fact that it was pre-alpha state, so there was some issues with it. Driving the bus was a lot of fun. You even had to pay to refill the gas. There were a couple of different stores you could go to where you had to pick up your coins and drop them onto the register so you could purchase the different things, counters, ovens, different tools you would have to use, refills on bowls and cups and things. This one I thought was so much fun. I thought I wanted to see more of the cooking with the different fruits and the different recipes you'd come up with and sell them to customers. The customers all seemed like they had their own stories that they were, some of what were willing to share with you. This one is a journey that I'm going to be following. I want to see Fruitbus come to fruition. This was one of the surprise demos we've played in any of these days of demos, and I hope you guys like this one too. I thought this was a very charming game, very fun, very unique. I would love to see this one get a full release. It looked like it was scheduled for 2024 according to Steam. We will see about that. Like I said, the demo was pre-alpha, so it has a lot of work to do, but just conceptually, I thought this one was a slam dunk. I loved Fruitbus. The fourth demo we ended up playing was for a game called Grow the Seed. I had heard a tiny bit about this game, but not much, and it was one that I was really looking forward to. It's a deck builder, except you get cards when you level up from getting experience by playing cards. So there's no combat in this game. All the cards are different ways to build up your... In the demo, it was an apple tree. So you would give it like a taller stalk, and it would grow upward, in which you could put flowers on it, which would grow into fruit. You'd put leaves to collect sunlight. You could also put roots on your plant, so you could go into the soil to try to get nutrients, to try to get water. And there were cards to photosynthesize by using sunlight and water you collected to make food for your plant. You would lose if you ran out of food for your plant, and you couldn't produce enough to satisfy it. Sadly, we didn't get to see that happen. Not that I think we would have lost. We were actually doing really well. But this game also crashed twice in essentially the same spot. So we didn't get to progress with Grow the Seed quite as we would have liked. I thought this game had a ton of potential. I thought the game seemed a lot of fun. I'd never quite seen mechanics quite like it. I loved the concept of doing a deck builder, but in a non-combat setting. Using different kinds of cards to grow your apple tree into development. I think that is such a fantastic and interesting idea, but like I said, it did crash, so we were never able to complete a run. Which was upsetting because, like I said, we were actually doing really well in this one. It seemed like it was a no-brainer that we were going to be able to either complete the game or build a really high score by going far enough. But it did crash, so I do have to dock it a little bit for that. A demo that you can't fully play really does hurt it a bit. But needless to say, we will be continuing to monitor the journey of Grow the Seed because I thought the gameplay was a lot of fun. I think this one has a chance to be maybe a little bit niche. Yes, it is a non-combat deck builder, which you don't see a lot of, so I'm not sure the market for it. But I can't say the market is non-existent because I would fit into that niche. So I'm going to continue to monitor Grow the Seed. Hopefully the full release will figure out whatever's making the game crash, and maybe we'll be able to check it out in the future. The fifth demo we ended up playing was another game I picked up on a whim just last night. I added it, I thought it looked good, and I decided to try it. It was called Kill the Crows. I'll start with the positive. I thought the gameplay mechanics were so fun. The shooting was spot on. The accuracy felt so nice to use. They had a showdown mechanic, that you would slow down time and essentially target everybody by shooting your 6-shot revolver at them. And you were just fending off waves of guys, and it wasn't hard at all. It also wasn't long. We got to play 2 runs of this game, and they each lasted 2 minutes or less. And after you beat the game one time, the demo was over. That's where I think the negative is. I do think 2 minutes for a run, and that's the entire demo, is a bit brief. I think it's very hard to showcase everything you want the game to have. That being said, I thought the gameplay was a lot of fun. I would be interested in checking this one out if it was at a low price point when it comes out, because essentially I think you saw a lot of what the game would have to offer. I don't know if the full release is supposed to have more characters or different abilities or more maps, because there wasn't power-ups to collect. There wasn't bosses, at least not in the demo. It was essentially you killed 100 guys and then it ended. So while I did like the mechanics a lot, and I thought the art style was extremely dark looking, but also charming, I liked this one a lot, Kill the Crows, but it was just so short that I just think maybe it's trying to cover up the fact that there's not a lot of content and that there won't be that much going forward, so they didn't want to show more than they had to. I hope I'm wrong on that one. I will continue to monitor this one going forward, because I do think it has potential. I thought the gameplay was fun, but it's really hard to get a full view of this game by only being able to play a run for 2 minutes. But we will continue to monitor Kill the Crows and see what happens when it potentially gets a full release. The 6th demo we ended up playing on our 3rd day of demos was called Land Above, Sea Below. I've had this demo in my library for a little bit now, because it did seem like something that would appeal to me, because it seemed like another puzzle type game where you put down landscape tiles to try to build out your land. And it was. I would say on the positive, it did fill that kind of niche of putting down your hexagonal tiles of different landscapes to try to build a score. You had to survive 10 seasons, and essentially the days of the season were each tile you put down. So if the season had 7 days, you were allowed to put down 7 tiles. And the whole time, after every season passed, water would rise and cover up all of your tiles that weren't lifted high enough off of the ground. I thought that conceptual was very interesting. And apparently you would lose if your tree got covered in the water by the end of the seasons. That didn't happen to us on our playthrough. We did go through all 10 seasons and kept the tree above water and won. But I think that's where one of the 2 issues I had with this game are. I think you really saw everything from this demo. I mean, sure, you unlocked different types of tiles during the run, so you didn't get to experience using them all that much. But we survived all 10 seasons, beat the whole game, I'm assuming, in this demo. I don't really know what they could do to vary it, unless they add different game modes or you're just trying to get higher scores. I'd be curious to see what they're doing with a full version of this game. I also have to say, one of the things that I do have to knock it for is I think it's very obviously a clone of Dorf Romantique. It plays out almost the exact same way. The tile system is exactly the same. The different types of landscapes that are on the tiles are the same, including the way like water works and rivers work. So that I do think is a bit bothersome. Dorf Romantique is a game that I love and have played a ton of, and I don't particularly think it's extremely unique to copy an idea like that. So I do have to dock it some points for that. I understand being inspired by a game, but this is very, very much kind of a clone, so I do have to dock it for that. This was Land Above, Sea Below. I'm not sure we'll go back to this one, but I do think it does fill a certain niche, and that means that it does have a place in the gaming sphere. The 7th demo we ended up playing was actually one that we had no intention to play today. We thought we were going to be done at 6, but because of some of the issues we had time to play another game. I'm thankful we did, because the one we ended up playing was what I think is one of the most anticipated indie games of the year, and that was Sea of Stars. We played the demo for Sea of Stars, which was honestly great timing, because the full release of Sea of Stars is August 29th, which is a week from this recording. I think that's fantastic. I thought that this game was unsurprisingly a slam dunk success, from the ambiance, from the music, and the beautiful pixel work and the character models and the landscapes. The way you could traverse the sides of the mountains, and they had a lot of really nice puzzles in the dungeon that required you to use some of your brain. I wouldn't say that they were insanely hard or anything, but I thought they were clever enough from the one that you saw in the demo, the one dungeon that does appear. I think where this game absolutely shines, though, is the combat. Anytime a game can kind of spruce up turn-based combat, I think is important, and I think it stands out really well in JRPGs especially. So the combat in this system worked really well. I won't tell you everything about it, but there were different button timing mechanics to enhance your moves or block. There were different combos between characters. There was different... the enemies would drop energy when you'd hit them that you could use to charge up your attacks to do increased effects. I thought that there was a lot of very interesting mechanics that would keep your mind going while you were doing these different boss battles and enemy encounters. That wasn't just standard turn-based combat. I also love that in the demo you do get to do a boss fight. I won't tell you anything about that, but you do get to do a boss fight, and I think any game that's going to rely on boss fights being a large part of it should incorporate the first boss in the demo. I think it's a huge thing to showcase to people that are going to be wanting to check this out and see if they want to try your game. And I thought the boss fight was really interesting and fun. So this was a game that I was excited for. I know a lot of people in the indie community are excited for Sea of Stars. It has been highly anticipated for a long time, and like I said, it looks to be releasing on August 29th. That may be the day that this video is airing. So if it does, let me know if you end up picking this one up, because I had a lot of fun with the demo. I'm not sure I'll be picking it up the day it comes out or not. We shall see. I am excited for this one, though, and would expect to play the full version at some point. So like I said, if you guys end up playing this highly anticipated game, Sea of Stars, let me know. I want to know if people are excited about this one like I am. The final demo we ended up playing on our third day of demos was called Sushi for Robots. This was an interesting game. It was another mini puzzle game. I would actually equate it very similarly to Cats Organized Neatly, except for the fact that I thought the puzzles in Sushi for Robots were more complex and required a little bit more brain power. So if you like that kind of thing, having to use actual creative solutions in your puzzles, Sushi for Robots is pretty fun. If you prefer a more relaxed puzzle game where you don't have to put a lot of effort in, you might not enjoy Sushi for Robots as much, but I did think they had some interesting mechanics. It was essentially you had to make sure that each robot type was getting their preferred sushi by putting them on conveyor belts with other different secret tricks in the game and mechanics that would be used, but you only had a limited amount of movements on the conveyor belt to get it to each robot before it ran out and they'd get mad and you'd fail. I thought this was pretty fun. Like I said, I actually had to use some brain power on some of these puzzles. They did require some thinking, which is pretty fun in these puzzle games. We were able to beat everything that the demo had to offer, which is nice. I believe it said that the full version is going to have over 60 levels. The demo had 15, so I think that's a pretty reasonable amount, assuming that the price point in this game is low. I think 60 is a good number of puzzles. I do have to say one of the things that I didn't really understand about this game, and I don't really want it to be a nitpick because it seemed intentional, was I don't really understand the narrative and the story. They highlight the narrative as like a good thing that's going on, but they tell you early on that the story doesn't actually matter. And all the characters are robots that essentially just act and talk like humans by their conversations are complete nonsense. I thought it was a confusing narrative choice that I don't really understand. I don't really understand why they're robots because it doesn't seem to influence the game at all. But it seems like it's supposed to be pretty wacky narrative, so I can't dock it too much since it does seem intentional. I thought that part of the game wasn't necessarily... it didn't stand out very strongly for me, but that's okay. So, those were all of the demos that we played on our Day of Demos 3. Like I said, we ended up doing 8 demos instead of the initial 5 because of some of them just being insanely short and some of them crashing multiple times and only letting us play for a couple minutes. But I would say that the overarching winners from this day were surprisingly Fruitbus. I thought was a ton of fun, and I'm very excited to see if that game ends up getting a full release next year, supposedly. I would love to play more of that. I think that would be an absolute winner of a game. And unsurprisingly, a winner was Sea of Stars. I thought this was about as smooth and well-crafted and precise as an indie game can be, and that a demo can be to showcase that. So this one was unsurprisingly, I believe, a winner. I am interested to see more of this one when it comes out, which is going to be very, very soon. August 29th. So let me know what you guys thought about these ones. If there were any that stood out to you as being up your alley and really fun, or, you know, if maybe you get frustrated because maybe some of the demos crashed for you as well. Let me know if you played any of these, or if any of these you're really excited for to come out in the future. If you like what you saw here, feel free to give the video a like. Feel free to comment down below and tell me your favorite game on this list, or if there are any that you didn't particularly like. We will continue reviewing these days of demos going forward, so I hope you guys have been enjoying these. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet and you feel like doing that, it would go a long way into helping us grow and being able to make more content for you guys. I really appreciate you guys watching this. I've been enjoying making these. I hope you guys have been enjoying the days of demos. It's been a fun way to showcase a lot of games that we might not have otherwise played, and some of them aren't out yet. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you soon.